We live. We live. Ancestral perspective. My brother Antoine in the building. About to get it in. I appreciate y'all for coming in today, being a part of this powerful study group. Just like to give thanks to the ancestors for giving us this opportunity to come together and build on this work, this divine work, MAAT, guiding principles of moral living. So far, just me and the brother Antoine is on right now, but it's okay. If not, you know what I'm saying, we just do what we do and just keep it moving forward and let the momentum. How you feel? How you feel, brother Antoine?
You know how we do. We build regardless. Sometimes we build solo. Sometimes it's just two of us, and the rest of them will follow after that. So,
how was your day today, though, bro? Before we get started.
Oh, my day was fine. You know, dealing with the wife and the kids. It's like once one kid gets sick here, it's like everybody else started to catch it. So one of the little ones got it. Boom. Before you know it, the wife got it. The youngest son got it, and I was the last sole survivor, taking care of everybody for the last 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
But I give thanks, you know what I'm saying? To have existence in this time and place is a beautiful thing. So I can't deny that.
Indeed. For some reason, bro, it's not showing. It's just showing me. Is it? There we. Hold on. Let me see something.
Uh-oh.
It's not just.
Hang out.
It's just showing me on the YouTube live. It's not showing you. I don't understand that. We're gonna have to work on that too.
So I'm about to jump in on my laptop to see if that might change some things once I get there.
Yeah. So what we'll do is just what I'm gonna do, bro. I'm going to copy the link and send it to you. I don't know.
I think I should have it. If it's still the same link, we good.
I'm gonna copy this so you can see it on YouTube. Let me send this to you. Yeah, so paste. Yeah, man, my day been good. I had the opportunity. I got a lot of stuff done. Working on getting my business in order, bro. Matter of fact, I got me a business consultation last like a couple days ago on marketing, and I got another one next Wednesday for a business plan. I got somebody gonna work with me. Gonna help me get my business plan and stuff together, and I'm working on getting a building too, bro.
Are you?
Yeah, just to teach the yoga though at the cafe. At the cafe, you know, have you heard of the cafe before off Lafayette?
Yeah, right there on Cove Road.
Yep.
Right there in that area.
Yep, exactly. Yep. Hold on, let me see something.
I see you on.
You see me on? You see me?
I see you, but I'm gonna see how I can jump on in on this thing.
I don't understand.
I can bring it up.
It's still not showing you. It usually show. I don't know how they. Hold on, I don't know how they do that. You might have to push mute on one of those screens. Because it's getting some feedback. So so what we're doing today is we're building on MAAT, guiding principles of moral living. Some great work by University of Kemet Press. Great work. So last week we took the time to build on. We started with the dedication. This page right here, dedication. I don't know if y'all can see that, but we took the time to build on the ancestors, elders, and the youth, and everybody gave their insight on what that meant to them. We also built on what it meant to be a leader, the difference between a practitioner versus a hotepper, and what else did we build on last week? Antoine, come to your mind?
I mean, that was the practitioner versus the hotepper. I mean, that was deep. I mean, to look at that and to to expand on that deeper when we did, that was really a big thing. Mm-hmm. So I mean, not much else that really come to mind that you haven't already mentioned. But when it got to that practitioner versus the hotel, that was a real good dialogue and discussion right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start off reading. So today we're just gonna build on because we want to make sure everybody get their book. So we're gonna read from pages 13 to 8. Yeah, 13 to 18, and then our next study group we want to have pages read 19 through 50. 19 through 50, right, Antoine?
19 through 51. 51. I think 51 was the last one on that chapter.
Yep, you're right. 19 through 51. So everybody, I encourage you to get this book and read pages so you can catch up. Like today, we're going to read from 13 to 18. And then from that, we're going to have pages read 19 through 51 by our next study group. And that should be, it's going to be the second and fourth of Thursday of every month. So our next one should be April the 5th. Yeah, April the 5th. That should be our next study group. So try to have those pages read by then. So we're going to start with the preface. I'm going to go ahead and start off and read. It has been said that all new beginnings are difficult. This is especially true in the case of this book. It is the culmination of 21 years of lived praxis, of which 13 years of research are put to paper. We African traditionalists, scientists, and elders immediately digest, filtered, and redeemed and restored 6,250 years of indigenous, moral, and ethical ideas. Anything you want to build on that paragraph, Thorne?
No, not much. Not much. Everything's basic, generic starting it all. So that's great.
Okay. So, and my insight was, so with this book, it was one of those things that just wasn't put together overnight. These brothers really took their time to put this information out. And because a lot of times you got a lot of what they call microwave information, where brothers write a whole book in a day and put it out, and it's not well researched. And I feel with this work, the brothers really took their time to make sure they did the proper research before putting this information out. So
now hold on, can I stop you for 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just in case to make sure I may be wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, there is like a brother and a queen. I mean, there's like 3 brothers and a queen, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it might have been a queen.
Somebody trying to get in onto the what you call them? Hello. He says they're trying to get onto the.
No, I don't know what just happened. It's almost like I was stuck in the Matrix and things got froze for a second.
Oh, so what you said?
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, no, I didn't hear you say. Go ahead, say it again.
Okay, what I was saying was it's actually I think it was 3 brothers and a queen that put the book together.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. 3 brothers.
I want to make sure that the queen, that the queen gets her recognition as well, because she's more than deserving.
Who was the queen?
I think TDK.
No. That's a brother.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a brother.
So is the Ifea?
Ifea. No, that's a brother too.
Is it? I'm good with him.
Yeah.
So sorry. Okay. If I'm incorrect, then I apologize.
Yeah, you good. You good. Right. Yeah. Let me see. So the time invested was well spent, as our plans were carefully reticulated to match tasks with talents, hearts with hands, and science with spirit. The material available for consumption was vast. Time, therefore, required us, after thorough examination, to extract the most rational kernel. So they took the best of the best information and put it together to give us this information, to give us this powerful book. To this end, we all gave ourselves in many ways, appreciating that when tasks arise, the only reasonable thing to do is to assume the responsibility head on. This was an encyclopedic undertaking, which was first a purely historical, theological, and philosophical investigation, having its explanatory reflection on deductive synthesis. This inquiry initially confined itself to the authentication and consumption of facts, not myths, with other facts, but as balanced, a certain introspective sensitivity was honed, facilitating rediscovery and fresh interpretation of the subtleties and depths of the ancestral wisdom. In antiquity, it has been said that wisdom seekers adequate themselves with a great many particulars. This is the what of our work. That was a mouthful. Anything you want to build on dealing with that?
I mean, it's back to what you're saying. This isn't Google scholarship. This isn't individuals waking up in the middle of the night and thinking that out of nowhere that they were going to put something together, and in 3 hours they ended up producing material. This shows that there was some real logical thinking on a higher level and a lot of research that went into actually putting this information together.
Peace, Maurice.
So what's good, bro?
Peace. Who Maurice, brother? Where you from?
Ronald.
Oh, snaps. That's the brother from Mo. Yeah, what's good, bro?
Yeah, what's good, guy?
Not much, bro.
Come on, sir.
Yeah, so
what's good, brother?
You know Brother Antoine, don't you?
I've seen him around.
Oh, okay.
We're friends on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Peace, brother. Peace, God.
Yeah.
So yeah, bro.
So
go ahead.
What we got going on here?
We just building on MAAT, the guiding principles of moral living. We just building.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you can, bro, get this. If you want to continue to join our study group, just get this book right here and start reading. So today we're just going to read pages 13 through 18, and by the next study group, we're going to try to have pages 19 through 51 read by the next study group.
Okay.
And the next study group will be April. Let's see. April the 5th, which will be a Thursday. But like I said, even if you don't have a book, bro, you can always just come in and just listen because you still get something out of it.
Yeah. I'm gonna sit right here and listen to y'all brothers. I'm gonna take in what y'all got to say.
Okay, I appreciate it, bro.
All right, thank you, man.
No problem.
All right.
Hey, so brother Antoine, did you want to go ahead and read the next paragraph or what? You want me to go continue to read?
Yeah, if you could do that for right now, because what I'm doing is I'm taking a picture of the actual pages that we're reading, 13 through 18. So what I'm gonna do is end up putting those up, so those that aren't that don't have the book can actually read that.
Okay.
All
so, as regards the how of our work, every serious philosophical inquiry is centered in method. So, in other words, what he's saying is, we have to make sure that when we're dealing with information, there's a certain method, a certain ways that we're supposed to approach information. It's a certain order to things. The present work is interdisciplinary in scope, appreciating that all things are interwoven with everything else in a turbulent and complex unity. This gave first priority to self-mastery of the technical proficiency required to order matter, motion, time, space, and spirit in an implicit manner as not to upstage the central focus of the text. Distilled moral praxis, emphasis explicitly stated with candor in this book, preface, are fully developed in the prologue that follows, while footnotes and references serve mainly as supporting material to provide technical context to text needing clearer enunciation. Is there anything you want to build on dealing with that, Torn?
Give me 1 second. No, it's still basically the same concept of, you know, the understanding of what goes into putting such a great work like this together. So I don't really have much else to build on.
Okay. So many of our people think that by merely reading something that they have done research. That's very, very crucial right there, what he said. So many of our people think that by merely reading something that they have done research. This is not.
Can I stop you real quick?
Go ahead.
Before you go to the next part, because it's at one point I think that's a very true statement, but the truth of it is now people don't even read. People like just because they watch the video, that they qualified or have some level of scholarship or some level of understanding. You know, just because they done sat and watched 10 Google videos or they seen some individual on YouTube talking about an issue, whether if it's talking about ancient Kemet, whether it's talking about Islam or anything like that. People think just because they might have picked up, you know, watched a few videos, now they have the right to kind of, you know, break it down and start talking on that level. Yeah,
and also dealing with not only with videos, it can either be like Facebook posts. A lot of people get their information off of Facebook posts, memes, and we have to like step up our intellect. Like we really have to start getting to reading books and really breaking these books down and coming with coming with powerful research. And this book is pretty much giving us that method on how to do that. So like I was saying, so many of our people think that by merely reading something that they have done research. This is not the case. Read equals literature review. There are at least 7 other stages to scientific research. So we want to start approaching information like with a scientific mind. That's what he's pretty much saying. We want to approach this information with a scientific logic. Most of the books we read don't have evidence. For example, the Bible, the Quran.
Is that what it says? Hold on.
No, it doesn't say that. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, most of the books we read don't have evidence.
Yeah, because look, I was looking, I was like, man, did I read it say that? I didn't remember.
And I ain't trying to go in nobody's religion and nothing like that, but that's just the truth. Like we need to have that evidence. We need to come with that evidence. And you want to build on that, brother Maurice? I mean, that's something you probably could touch on.
I mean,
what you think the importance of having evidence when it comes to information?
The importance of having evidence. I mean, I think evidence is important, but at the same time, you can't. You know, people believe in the universe or they believe in God. I mean, you ain't got no evidence of the universe giving you no powers. You ain't got no evidence of God giving you no powers. Only thing you really do got is the belief. You don't really got no true evidence of, you know, there is a God. You know, you just no evidence. You know, it all comes down to belief. So I think, you know, like me, I don't believe in like Christianity, nothing like that. I really don't got no. I don't have no religion. I'm just like spiritual. I grew up. My family grew up. They was all Christians, and then when I moved to New York, everybody was around was Muslim and 5%. So I learned a lot from there. So, you know, within, you know, bridging between the two cultures, and I kind of just, you know, found my own way and just like, you know, I seen good things in you know, people that's Christian, that's Christians, and I seen good things in people who Muslim. And people Christian, they might think, it's a white Jesus and all that. And I just say, well, if, believing in Christianity makes you a better person in life, then, that's good for you. But if you really want to know the truth, then I think you need to, shy away from that book. I think it's a book of, good morals, but not nothing logical, because it's what's the word? It contradicts itself a lot inside the Bible. And but then I tell my sons, you can't really knock the Bible if you don't, like, you can't say nothing bad about it if you have never read it. You can't say nothing bad about the Quran unless you've read it, or you've went over these people's religion, but and take the good out of it. Don't necessarily take everything they said, but take what's good out of it. That's how I kind of been going about it.
Okay, appreciate that, bro. Is there anything you want to build on, Antoine, what brothers talked about?
I mean, it's basically the same thing. I mean, every religious system has some myth, some form of ethical presence within it. And even in most systems, there may be some people that could be deified or looked at as divinities. But it's for each individual to search. Mm-hmm. And brother was just saying that, he's more of a spiritual being, and all of us are spiritual beings. It's just which ones are willing to elevate their conscious level to a higher frequency than where they at. Mm-hmm. So, so I acknowledge what the brother's saying, and it's a search through the material, the different books and all the material that's present to us to really find our connection with the Creator.
Mm-hmm. I'll show you. So, like the book, like you were saying, most of the books we read don't have evidence. So, you want to say something, Maurice?
Yeah, I want to say something. I want to say, like, for someone like me who is who is starting off, it's kind of like you don't have like a guide to what you're supposed to do. So you kind of like trying to find your way. See, if I had to find like what am I supposed to go off now, I just go off of just feelings and vibes. Like I'm just trying. I'm searching out, trying to find where my history and all of that. It's like I gotta find about stuff like this to kind of catch on and kind of catch up with the train. You know what I'm saying? While the train is already, I'm trying to catch up on it, but I really don't know where to even start to even search for the train. You know what I'm saying? I'm just wandering around and hoping I just stumble into it. That's kind of like the problem with people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know with people, but with me. And it's like when you're trying to, become more consciousness, you really don't know where to start or really where to go. Mm-hmm. It's like, you just kind of just searching around till you kind of bump it, and you might go a whole nother way and then say, oh, let me find out, let me look at this way, and what about this way, and what about that way? Mm-hmm. It's like you kind of lost. So I'm looking at, I see that book, and I'm like, well, that's a nice book. And I was like, thinking to myself, like, what about any other books? Because that's just one book. It's probably like 15, 16 other books someone can probably tell me to read. Mm-hmm. But how would I know like what path I'm supposed to take in order to find that level of consciousness?
Mm-hmm. See, with this particular book right here, it's just dealing strictly with moral principles on how to become a better person. So it's not even getting into spirituality. It even talks about in here how even if you don't follow MAAT, that doesn't make you a bad person. That doesn't make you a bad person. MAAT just gives you an opportunity to reach your fullest potential as a human being.
Yeah.
So, like I said, this book doesn't even go into spirituality. It gets back to the basics on how to just become a better person. And you could be the most spiritualist person in the world, but if you're not following certain guidelines, then you can still end up living a life of self-destruction and destroying other people around you. So MAAT gives us a blueprint on how to walk. MAAT is like the oldest forms of spiritual principles that gave birth to Christianity, that gave birth to Islam. You know what I'm saying? So if I lose my keys, I'm gonna go back to the last place that I thought I lost my keys. Same way with my spirituality. If I want to understand who I am as a human being and as a spiritual being, I'm gonna go back to the origins of that. And when it comes to the evidence and when it comes to the research, research shows that Kemet is the most studied civilization ever. It's the most written about civilization ever. It was the most advanced civilization ever. So to me, it only makes sense to start there. Doesn't mean that I have to limit my understanding just to that, but it gives you a better understanding of like which way you should try to move. What about you guys? You want to build on that, Antoine?
Yeah, I think yeah, I mean, and I understand exactly what the brother's saying as far as once you start to, you know, transition from looking at life or even start to look at life differently, you find yourself at this place where what information do you sift through, what information is available for you, and then what one of the things that I found, and back to what Tony was saying, and just to reiterate on it, was the fact that this book here doesn't really build on any kind of spirituality, and it really doesn't go. It might touch it briefly at different points, but it's really based on ethics, values, morals. And when we look at a lot of people in our communities, and even in what they call the conscious community, there are a lot of individuals that may say they follow, you know, or they may say that they follow what Kemet or look at, you know, African cultures. But then when you get down to it and you start asking them questions, you start to find that they don't have the moral part. They don't have the values. They don't have the ethics. And that's what really made our people great in the civilizations that existed before we came to America. Was the moral fabric that we had, was the ethics that we applied to everything about our culture and everything about our civilization. So a lot of the Egyptologists out here that put out a lot of information, that put out a ton of videos every hour, and then do a whole lot of other research, a lot of those, once you start to match their actions versus what they're saying, or versus the culture that they say, or the traditions that they say that they're in, you start to realize that they lack that moral and ethical fiber that is needed in order to rise up to another higher level of enlightenment.
Okay.
So do
y'all think it's better to be excuse me. If you don't know your way, like from what I'm getting is the session, even the book is about, basically is telling you how to your morals and, you know, how to conduct yourself in I guess African tradition or African culture. But it's not touching spirituality. Which one of those do you think weighs more importantly, being connected more spirituality or being more connected morally as a person? Because like I was saying, I know people of different religions, and, you know, I'll be like, you know, if you go to church every week and, you know, you praise, you know, this white man on this wall who you believe is your savior, if that makes you a better person, spirituality, you know, we probably not connected spirituality wise, but, you know, moral wise, you probably has an ethic or a code that you live by that's probably morally correct. You know, is that more importantly than, you know, maybe connecting or being enlightened more spiritually wise, or would you say it's being it's more of a pressing concern to be more connected ethically wise than it is spiritually wise?
I think the time we're in right now it's important to be morally grounded. The times we're in right now, because anybody can label themselves as spiritual, but if your actions are not aligned with that which is righteous, then you can be spiritual all you want, but you're not living. You're not helping. You're not. I don't even know how to. You're not in harmony. You're not in harmony with. You're not balanced. Just let me give you some insight on some of the stuff it talks about in here. It says on page 197, moral living, MAAT. It says living a moral life does not need a religion to live in a moral way, but an internal code of ethics that values right over wrong and just over unjust. when we come to understand as right and wrong evolves over time as we learn from our environment, those around us directly and indirectly are our own internal responses to both. We can choose to help our internal morality to evolve over time by cultivating intelligence of the heart. So you don't even need a religion to be morally grounded. You just have to have like an understanding of right versus wrong, and over time that develops. That's what they talked about, intelligence of the heart. The more you gain knowledge, you have a better understanding of what right is and what wrong is, and that's just like a sample, like the importance of moral living, because it's been tons of spiritual leaders who've been it's brothers right now who allegedly was molesting children, doing some real crazy stuff, but he would be considered spiritual, but his morals wasn't aligned with that which is righteous. Mm-hmm. But go ahead. You want to build on that, Antoine?
Sorry, I had it on mute. Still trying to get these pictures up. Almost like what Tony is saying is that we do know a lot of individuals that claim to be spiritual. And, when you start off, I think when we look at our existence as humans, we can all say we're all spiritual. Mm-hmm. Now, what spirituality means is totally different. We all are beings that have spirit within us. But because you have that spirit, does that make you morally right? Because you have that spirit within you, does that mean that you're doing everything, following the proper ethics and codes and things like that? Of course not. So having the ethics and having that moral fiber and that code, that's basically, really, to me, that's a choice and a decision. Because once you start to make that conscious choice and decision of I want to live an ethical way and I want to live a moral way in life, then what you find is that everything else falls in line. Mm-hmm. So when Tony was even talking about that balance, once you start to walk on that moral and ethical path, you'll realize that your spirit is already in tune with it. You'll begin to realize that you don't even have to think of what's in your spirit, because you begin to see that all things in the universe is aligned with that. Because once you start to get on your moral path, everything, really, once you start to get on your path that the ancestors have placed you on, and you start to align it with the morals and the fabrics, then you start to look at everything. And like I said, you don't have to work on anything. Everything starts to fall in line for you.
Ashe. Is there anything else you want to? Does that make sense, Brother Maurice?
Let me go off him.
Okay. So I'm gonna continue to read. I'm gonna continue to go to the next paragraph. So it says, most of the opinions we form from books with no evidence leads to dead end, made up, make believe fantasy, island stuff. Food for thought ends up being polluted food. We all know what food poisoning does to the body. Just think what poisoning ideas do to the mind. So when I think about that, I think about the books I read in the past that would be considered fantasy island stuff. Like I got a lot of books that like, for example, what's a good book that I used to read back in the day? Books that could be considered like pseudo type books. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't based on any. Okay, a good example of books like that are I don't know, man. I gotta think about that. What about you, Antoine? Did anything come to you? I mean, it would have to go back to. Even I'm not trying to dog the next man religion, but it would have to go back to the Bible, because a lot of that stuff can't be proven. So that's the first thing comes to my mind. It had me thinking that it was a man upstairs looking down on me and protecting me, and I'm also afraid of another man down in the ground, which would be considered the devil. These are the ideas that book put into my mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think when I think about it, it's a lot of those. They used to have the chicken soup for the souls, and all the books that were out, trying to tell you, trying to give you information like that. But yeah, and it's not banging, like you said, it's really not banging on one religion, because religion as a system is all have the same concepts and have the same way of presenting themselves to people. But to ingest or to take in information like that over a series of years and over a lifetime, over decades, even with television, we know now, it's evidently clear that if you set a child in front of a television and all they watch is a bunch of smut TV and a bunch of craziness, then sooner or later you're going to start to see them kids act out those type of actions and things. So if we know that, it's the same thing as if we still continue to pollute our minds with misinformation and continue to be miseducated at the same time, then we're only poisoning ourselves, which is going to cause a ton of harm. Now, can you see the page on my screen?
Hold on, let me see. No, I can't.
Why is this page not showing up on my screen?
Nope.
That is
so nice. So this is why concrete research fundamentals demanded our attention, because of the confused history of fiction and myth that dominates the purpose and practice of moral behavior. A history of gradual clearing away of nonsense, often replaced by fresh but merely less absurd nonsense. Therefore, a few methodological truisms requires disclosure here. Fiction and myths are not empirical facts. Superstition is not science or evidence. Merely clipping, comparing, and commenting on quotes is not scholarship. Finding prominent personas in print they agree with you is not research. Cutting and pasting correspondence from antiquity is not historic inquiry. Quoting authorities, prophets, scholars, and other musty excursions into name dropping as to lead a credibility in and of itself is not evidence. Truth lay in understanding things as they actually are, not in superstitious someliness shrewdly simulated to appear as moral sagancy. So that's a lot in itself. So in other words, man, when it comes to the information, we really got to be mindful of the things that we, like you were saying in the last paragraph, the things that we ingest into our consciousness. We just have to be mindful of where this information is coming from. We have to question all the information that we've been indoctrinated to believe in. I mean, and that's a challenge in itself, because that's going to start to, that takes a lot of courage, because you're going to start to have to reevaluate a lot of things that we've been grown up to believe, like information when it comes to ideas, when it comes to what is love, or what does it mean to be in a relationship, or what is family, what does it mean, what is a friend, what is spirituality, what is religion, what is God, you know what I'm saying, what is devil, what is heaven, what is hell. Like, these are the things that we really have to start to look at within ourselves, because a lot of it could just be a lot of misinformation that we've been just indoctrinated to believe in over time without taking the time to really investigate where those ideas come from. So,
excuse me.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Pardon me, fellas, because I'm right now. I'm trying to get my kids together from school and trying to get dinner served.
No, it's all good, bro.
So you got to pardon me right now. But I was listening just now, right? And what is y'all perspective on the whole heaven, hell, and God, because also another thing too is I can't teach my young kings if I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
So I only can give them what I know. And what I tell them is, I don't know. I don't got no evidence, and I go off of your feeling. I say, you know, you are a piece of God. Tell them, you know, we you know, the book said we're son of God. You know, so he made us in the version of Him, and we have godly like powers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what about godly like powers is our subconscious. Now they say, you know, it's the God and the devil and all that. I don't know about that, fellas. And what I tell them is, I say, you that subconscious in your head that's telling you maybe, oh no, go do this when you know you ain't supposed to do it. Maybe that's the devil or devilish ways or evil spirits. But also, it could be God who is telling you when you have the other voice in your head that tells you, oh yeah, do this or go forward, or you know, you can do it. That may be the God perspective, you know, and maybe that's the God that's inside of you, and maybe that's the devil that's inside of you. And that's kind of how my perspective is about it. And I just want to kind of, you know, see, you know, what other people think about it.
Okay. Do you want to go and start on that first, Antoine?
I mean, yeah, I can. First, do I believe in a God and the devil? No, I do not. At one point in time in life, I did believe in that concept. As I've grown in the knowledge and information, I've come to understand that, you know, yes, there is a creator, and there are principal forces that some may look at as deities. Some may call them Necharu. Some may have other terms that they may use. But these are more like principles of time and space, whether it's earth, water, different other principles that may be within humans, that may be within, you know, within the universe. And so my understanding that there, you know, who can tell us whether God or the devil is real? Because nobody's been on the other side and came back. So first and foremost, all you're doing is taking somebody else's perspective. If you don't have a relationship with the creator, or one-on-one relationship with the creator that you have developed, of course you're going to feel lost. If you allow someone else to dictate or tell you what your relationship is supposed to be like with the creator, then what you're doing is you're allowing them to persuade and instill within you what gods or devils that they choose to put within you. So what it really boils down to is an individual has to sift through a lot of information. And that's why, even like with this book here, this book has been in publication for a while. Some of the other resources and materials and books and things that we study and we look at have been out for a while. But you really don't come into that information until you're ready. You know what I'm saying? All that other stuff is out there because that's surface level stuff. When somebody has usurped and taken someone else's religion or religious context and material and used it and they're using it to basically hold and lock the brains of other individuals, then that information is easy to find. You can find that book. You can find those books in any bookstore, anywhere you want to find it at. But when it comes down to really building that one-on-one relationship with the creator, then what has to happen is that you have to search within some information and material that isn't just present to you at that present point in time. So my concept of the God and the devil, no, because that's somebody else's concept that was put upon us. But I do believe that there's a creator of all things, and that our existence does go back or return or goes through a cycle of our ancestors. So no God and devil for me.
And
all right, thank you.
And my perspective, I don't believe in a God and the devil either. Because when you're dealing with the devil, you won't find that concept in African spirituality. The way we look at it, all the Neteru are divine. So even our Neter that would be considered the devil, or Set, Satan, Seth. We even see him as divine. He that particular principle is based around destruction. But sometimes you need destruction. Sometimes you need destruction in order to bring balance. Like you have two forces that come together. You have construction and you have destruction. You have to have both of those principles to bring balance to existence. So with Set, personally, we don't follow Set. We just observe Set and the principles and the characteristics of Set and learn from that. And when it comes to, you said something about your thoughts could be like your subconscious. Like sometimes you may have certain thoughts that lean you towards something positive, and then you might have another thought that leans you towards something negative. That's why meditation and yoga is so important, because with meditation and yoga, it will teach you how to be more in tune with that God force within you. It will teach you how to be more in tune with that. And meditation and yoga is a form of detox for your mind that will help cleanse your mind from a lot of those negative thoughts. Because we've been indoctrinated with a lot of junk. We have a lot of junk thoughts in our mind. Like probably 80%, probably more than that, 80 to 90% of the thoughts that run through our mind is junk thoughts, and that's stuff that we don't even need to be worried about. So with the meditation and yoga, it teaches you how to just be more in tune with your spirit and that God force within you. And what else? And when it comes to heaven and hell, to me, heaven and hell is a state of mind. If you're depressed, you fearful, you always constantly worried, constantly down on yourself, you in a state of hell. If you know what I'm saying, you at peace with yourself, you know your purpose, that's a state of being in heaven. And when it comes to like the afterlife, my thoughts on it is it's important to have children, because through your children is how you continue your legacy. That is like, I believe in, if you want to say belief, I believe in reincarnation. So through my children is how I will continue to live on my legacy. And the more they build on my legacy, when I come back, we'll be in a better position to continue to restore our bloodline. I mean, that's the way I look at it. That's why I more so pay attention to honoring my ancestors, because I know for a fact that I have ancestors. I know a fact that my mother gave birth to me, and now that she's in the ancestral realm, I still connect with her, because I have I set up a shrine or a prayer space for me to connect with her. Just like in Black Panther, you see they had that ancestral connection. When they put that dirt on him and they did those rituals, he went into the ancestral realm. Mm-hmm. So that right there lets you know the importance of the ancestral spirit, and how like the importance of us having children, because that's how we continue to live on through our children.
Okay. And one of the things you just said was the facts, based off of facts. Once your focus becomes so driven on the God concept, or on the devil concept, or on the heaven and hell, it appears to, for me, I can say for me, through my Christian walk and things of that nature, I was so focused on that I never was focused on getting anything right on my own, because I always waited on the higher power. I always waited. Let me just be real. I always waited on Jesus to get it right. Okay, I got issues with women. Get it right, Jesus. And I even tell people now, I had somebody find like $1. I was walking with somebody not too long ago, some time ago, and they found $1 on the ground. He was like, "Yeah, thank you, Jesus, for give me." I said, "You know what? If Jesus is gonna answer your prayers, you think Jesus will give you a freaking buck? You know what I'm saying? You think if God wants to turn around and bless you, God's gonna bless you with $1? So everybody, once you get so focused on that concept of God, and once you get to focus on that concept of God, as far as in the systems and how the systems are built around religion currently as it is, that takes you so far away from you even building and establishing a relationship with the Creator, or even building, because you have to think, in most religious systems now, ancestor worship is not there.
Mm-hmm.
And now you will read in like the text in older texts where let's say in the first books of the Bible, where they talk about they honored their Moses, they honor this when they honor, Abraham, who's like the one that established the covenant and all of this. But you start to see they get away from ancestor worship. And what has happened is even when we come to right now and where we stand right now, there is no true, when you go into a Christian church or into most religious settings, there is no true ancestor worship or veneration that's being done at all. You know what I'm saying? So that we no longer honor those that brought us into this world and those that came before us.
Mm-hmm.
And once you start focusing on their God and you get rid of your ancestors and you take on their God.
Mm-hmm.
And once you do that, you begin to run into their rat race and you like that hamster on the wheel running. So
let me add this. Let me say this. You always see that one killer who go on a killing spree, and what they say, the devil made me do it. The devil didn't make you do it. The devil didn't make you do it. It was your own thoughts. It was that idea that was put in you by your oppressor, and now your own mind is starting to play tricks on you. Yeah. And now you label those thoughts, you label those behaviors as the devil, when in reality it's just your own mind, the things you've been indoctrinated to believe in.
Facts. See, and what happens then is, instead of a person accepting accountability for their actions,
definitely,
what religion gives you almost like that scapegoat. Well, I can put it on God. If things don't get right in my life, it's because God didn't want them to get right. You know what I'm saying? If things go wrong, then I can put it on the devil.
Yes.
And I don't have to take any accountability for my choices, my decisions, and the things that I do. So really what that does is you just always run through your whole entire life either blaming God or blaming the devil, or either giving props to God or giving props to the devil for things that they do. You know what I'm saying? So you get lost in that mix. And like I said, once you get caught up in that, you start spinning and spinning and spinning, and you just find yourself spinning on a wheel, but you never reach that next level. You never go to that next level that you feel like you should be obtaining in life, because you're running that race.
Ashe. Did you want to say something, Brother Maurice?
No, I was just listening to it, and I leave that right there.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead to the next paragraph. So it says, centuries of evidence, not opinions, had to be digested and verified. Then the subject matter had to be grasped intellectually. This is the closest quatus, the finishing stroke, the thing that efficiently ends or settles the investigation. The problem of grasping a thing is essentially the problem of grasping that it is in the motion of birth, development, decline, death, and rebirth. Applied to our study of morality and the subsequent development of guiding principles of moral living, our tasks were to 1. Establish the scope, context, and text of this study based on detailed, exegesis. I can't even say that.
Don't make me lie. I'm not even gonna try.
Yeah. Identify aspects of the problem, area of focus, range of subjects, and level of technical preparation necessary. Isolate raw data. Only authenticated facts. Collect data and critically validate it. Establish order. Purge data of errors. Establish chronology and historical context. Critically sift and evaluate. Provide logical summation, condense, prepare for analysis, synthesis, order, presentation, inform, and content. Then write, polish, and publish findings. Number 5, develop guiding principles of moral living that are rooted in the best of what we understand about morality, yet reflect in current moment. In history. In sum, this work is envisioned as the flowering of the three intertwined processes of self-assertion and self-awareness, leading to self-empowerment, history, guiding principles, and renewal. So, man. So if we just took that same thought process, I mean, that's a lot of that's the method. That's a particular method of really studying information before we even put it out. It's a bunch of different steps. Just think if we did that as a people. Just think if we did that when it came to the Bible or the Quran or just any type of information. A lot of times we wouldn't even be following a lot of these religions if we really put that type of thought process into our study and what we're following.
Even education. Yeah. When we look at the education system. A lot of the education that we get is only based on slavery and us being slaves. So, you know, even if you was to sift through some of that and see the greatness of our people, some of that, and start to everything should be examined. And just let me make sure I make the statement. I did post a link to the pages. So, Brother Maurice, if you do, there's a little. It depends on whether you're on a phone or on a computer. There is probably a little chat box on the side somewhere. If you click on that, you'll see that I have posted the pages that we are reading on that, just in case you want to look at them in the future or anything. But yeah, it just shows that we need to, you know, it shows the level of detail they put into this book itself, as well as the level of detail that we need to be putting into our lives to make sure the information and things that we're looking at and doing is concrete, solid.
Yeah. Yeah. So, bro, you gotta read some, man. Come on, bro. You put your joint on mute. You put it on mute.
All right. Okay. I was gonna say I was having technical difficulties and couldn't do it. Yeah, because this book is heavy, so it is got a lot into it. All right. On page 16 it says, interwoven through all this, we came to one simple but indispensable conclusion. We have to stop putting unhealthy things into our minds, bodies, and spirits, and create our own soul food. This abiding conviction brought a clear focus to our work. 1, the path. Away from lazy, contributionist dependencies on hand-me-downs, mixed up, modified, or distorted ideas towards our own ancestral exemplars of moral excellence with the goal of self-assessment, self-correction, and self-improvement. Chasing perfection, we hesitate to put one paragraph on paper unless it is independently verifiable in multiple ways. What they're saying is that the path, they're looking at the path and they're just like, hey, look, check this out. This is how we get more the information that we get. We ain't looking for no hand-me-downs. We ain't looking for nobody else giving us the information. We went out there, we saw the information, we based it off of our ancestors, and we went through everything that we need to make sure we put the purest information together for our people that they can get it. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, brother, but I just wanted to let y'all fellas know, man. Thank y'all for allowing me to attend this session, man. It was real helpful. But my phone is going on 1%. Before it cut off, I wanted to say thank y'all, fellas, and I look forward to y'all next session, and I will be attending.
All right, brother. I appreciate it.
All right. Peace and blessings, brother.
Peace.
All right.
So yeah, that's the brother before the brother left. I mean, with this information, we are what's the word? We have to do the work.
Yes.
So we not waiting for something outside of ourselves to push us forward. Like, it's up to us to make things happen and change our life and change our environment and stuff like that. So
yeah, you can't expect those that are in control of your narrative to give you what you need. You have to get to a point, just like you were saying, we're not accepting hand-me-downs anymore. We can no longer look and think that someone that at one time oppressed us, not to put it on all on all white people or anything like that. But, you know, for those that still have control of our narrative, we cannot expect for them to give us what the tools that we need to start to rewrite our narrative or develop the narrative that we need going forward. So we can't accept that, and we need to, you know, we need to stand up and we need to understand the path and the way to get there.
Yeah.
Number 2, it says significance. We underscore the abyss that separates us from those who seek to infuse, integrate, or get recognition under the torpor of anyone else's religious, moral, or educational traditions. Independence requires one to boldly stand with serenity and confidence on one's own feet. 3, purity as a means and an end. In the face of sacred duty, subsidiaries' desires give way. There is no more sacred duty than a parent to a child. To consistently feed generations of innocent children a diet of creatine, ethos myths, and amateurish bellas or letters of the very populations running wild, enslaving is beyond deceit. How does a once conquered and enslaved population end up on its knees, worshiping and funding the gods and religions of the conquering and enslaving populations? Dave. So, once again, it says, how does a once conquered and enslaved population, us African descendants, end up on its knees, worshiping and funding the gods and religions of the conquering and enslaving populations?
Wow.
Wow. Next. Number 4. The result. We immersed ourselves in the prolific literary tradition of our ancient men and women of measure and extracted guiding principles of moral living from their best practices. No myths, no superstitions, no mystical illnesses. African Kemet principles of MAAT were our mainstay, and we studied them as they deserve to be studied, seriously given their importance.
That's my queen on.
Peace, queen.
Queen, that's my brother Antoine.
Yeah, stumbling through this book. Hey.
We building on the guiding principles of moral living.
Okay, cool. I'm with you.
All right.
You have the book?
No.
Okay.
But I can.
Yeah, we on page 17. I actually did post. If you look at the chat on the side, there should be a chat on the side. And if you see the chat on the side, it should have show all messages, and it should have the link to the book if you want to look at the pages.
So some of the stuff we just been building on, Queen, is the importance of research, making sure that we take the time to study information, and the information that we're studying, make sure that it has some type of credibility to it, and not just going off of the things that we've been taught growing up. Just not going off a person's social status, just because a person may be quote unquote prophet or a scholar, or we just don't want to take that person's word for it. We want to be able to verify the information ourselves by proper research. And with this book, my guiding principles of moral living, what they were talking about is, like I said, making sure that we do that. We understand the method of proper research. You want to build on that, Antoine? Add to that.
Not much more to add to that, bro.
All right.
And we're on the fifth. The page that we're currently on page 16 to 17. It kind of describes what methodology was used to do the research and put this material together. So So I'm actually on the 5th. There's 5 different points. The first point is the path. The second one is the significance, showing that it really needed to be viewed by our people in a certain kind of way. The third point is purity as a means to an end, keeping the information pure. And then one of the questions that it asks, it says, how does a once conquered and enslaved population end up on its knees, worshiping and funding the gods and religions of the conquering and enslaving population? The fourth one is a result. And now I'm on the 5th one, which is the future. It says the future. It is hardly necessary to assure the reader with the moral criticisms and critical moralizing that our influences have been won with evidence and acumen from this world, and that the experiences gained in it is, in this way, our work is a seed small enough to blow in the wind, but fertile enough to become a great forest nourishing generations. Carefully tending of fresh beginnings sprouting among the ruins of the old rubble is necessary now. Our approach then, the moral canon, is to 1, end the nebulous generalizing. 2, access direct data and authentic evidence. 3, weigh and measure what has been deducted, comparing conclusions and the proofs which validate that those conclusions were established beyond doubt. 4, fashion clear, accurate statements of fact in order of their emergence. And 5, form tightly woven canon, righteously thought out and abundantly documented. Tony, you want to read the next one? Or?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read it. In the process of projecting the qualities.
Oh, he on mute. Oh, the brother's on mute.
Oh, my bad.
Stop it.
So, in the process of projecting the qualities of indigenous African morality, most respected across centuries, we had to synthesize a lot of history. Why? Morality itself is history. It is the history of good behavior, summarized and made sacred. It is heart in a heartless world, spirit in a place of spiritlessness, justice where injustice festers, integrity amid lies, hope when you are left on your own, strength when everything has been taken from you, and courage when even good people turn their backs and run. That's deep. You want to build on that, Queen? You got did anything come to you?
Not yet.
You did? Okay. So moral views are codified and embodied in rules and standards of human behavior, which populations observe and practice in their interactions. They do not grow out of the soil like wild mushrooms. To the contrary, they are a product of their time, a product of time, and a product of a specific people whose wisdom, patience, and intellect nurtures positive principles for the ages. Now as then, the progressive moral ideas in their pristine simplicity, like beautiful flowers, take time to grow. Weeds like sprout up overnight. Special care then is required to cultivate positive ideas, especially moral certitude. They are the hard-won fruits of years of self-sacrificing, solitude, and laborious research and enlightened contemplation put to paper. So when he talked about morality itself is history, it is the history of a good behavior, summarized, sanctified, and made sacred. It is heart in the heartless world, spirit in a place of spiritlessness, justice where injustice festers, integrity amid lies, hope when you are left on your own, strength when everything has been taken from you, and courage when even good people turn their backs and run.
Can you share the 5 methods again? I know 1 is path, right?
Yes. 1 is path. 2 is the significance. 3 is purity as a means and an end. 4 is the result. And 5 is the future. Excuse me. So he said morality itself is history. Now, what does a people that has lost all understanding and context of their history, how does that impact them? Because if morality itself is history, you have very limited or no history. I mean, you know, I just sat down at the table like 2 weeks ago, right after the snow, I, you know, shoveled my mom's snow or something like that. And I started asking her about grandfathers and great grandfathers and stuff like that. So I started to get a little bit of understanding about who my ancestors are, who they are, and where our history kind of lies. But she don't have much knowledge of that. So, you know, for individuals that have lost that history, I mean, how do you begin to develop your morality? Where does that begin?
I think taking action within your family now by documenting what you know and also what you're doing. You know, it makes me think about I have an elder named Sister Betty, and she throughout over 30 years done quite a bit of work in the community. And she has a big binder full of flyers and news articles, all types of things that she's been involved with. And she reminded me to document everything that I've done and I'm doing. And so I have a binder of things that I've been involved with, and whether it's pictures or flyers, little things like that. Just being mindful about documenting our history now, because now we're, like Tonio say, we're cleansing the bloodline. We're making it right, you know. So.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, King.
So it ain't so. Yeah, it's collect as much as you can on the past, but really it's to make sure that going forward that things are documented from this point forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the last paragraph, our work, MAAT, guiding principles of moral living, is therefore a return to the substance and source of African morality by recovering the rational kernels of Africa's ancient moral and ethical traditions and putting it to paper. The term Ma'at essentially means truth and justice incarnate in all aspects of life. Our aim is preparing this book. Our aim in preparing this book is to serve as a bridge, a portal, a medium for transmitting the transcendental wisdom of our ancestors across centuries to absorb the most viable elements of preceding ancient and modern developments, molding those vast experiences into an enlightening something of guiding principles. Anyone in the least with religious literature must know that once the mystical world beyond religious morality has disappeared, it is necessary to establish morality in practice in this real world.
Can we go back real quick to what you said, as I was referring to on a immediate family or our bloodline, you know, what we would need to do to basically when you're talking about documenting and going back to our history and all of that. But as a collective, I think I just wanted to add on, as I was thinking about hearing you, Tonio, as a collective, what we're doing now is a way to restore or go back, Sankofa, go back to the source, because there's so much information out there and there's so many different perspectives, and you know, the way people are presenting the information. We just have to study and build with each other, and let spirit resonate with what's what, and what's right. Just that.
I say. So in other words, we got we just got to return back to Ma'at. I mean, that's just what it means. We got to return back to Ma'at and start to embody what that means in every aspect of our life. And that is what is going to slowly get us back to our greatness as a people by living the principles. It says, my guiding principles of moral living is therefore a return to the substance and source of African morality. And like Antoine was saying earlier, the reason why ancestors became so great is because they had certain principles. Shaka Amos and Brother Jabari are having a debate, and Shaka Amos was saying how the Egyptians had white slaves. And even with the 77 commandments, it says, thou shalt not mistreat your, what is this? I want to get it right. It says, thou shalt not mistreat their servants, and thou shalt not allow servants to be mistreated by his master. So, from my understanding, they did have servants, but I don't think it was in the same context of, like, when we think of slavery now, I don't think it was in that same context of where they were pretty much doing the same things that the European was doing. Because as soon as you hear that word slavery, that's the first thing that pops in your mind. That's the first thing that pops in my mind when I think about slavery, the things that they were doing to our ancestors. So if our Kemetic ancestors did have servants, they respected life because they were following Ma'at, and they knew that reciprocity, if they did mistreat these people, these servants in a particular type of way, that will eventually come back on them. So that's why in the 77 commandments, it was giving you insight on how you shouldn't mistreat a servant. So what's y'all thoughts on that?
I think it's back to what you were saying. We only seen what we only provided the knowledge, a lot of knowledge concerning the Europeans' method of slavery. So when we do associate slavery with anything, the first thing we do is we just go back to how the oppressors did us here in America. But it's true. It's true fact of what you're saying, that there were at times indentured servants. I think that's what they might have called them, or servants that only may have been servants for a small period of time, but they were also treated, with some level of dignity and some level of respect, because there was some moral fiber and code. But once you're dealing with a colonizer, as we did, that had no real code, no ethics behind it, then what you're going to do is that they're going to put a level of oppression upon it that has never been seen, or hadn't been done in some time.
So, you got anything you want to add on, Queen?
Yeah.
You sure? Okay. All right. So that's pretty much it. So the next study group we're just gonna read from. We want to have pages read, pages 19 through 51 read for the next study session. Pages 19 through 51. So that's it. Anybody else got any final thoughts before we close out?
I just want the book.
You just want the book. Hey, this book is, babe, you're gonna have to, man. Last time I talked to him, he only said he had like 4 more books. These books be running out fast. It's I don't know what. So I hit the brother up and see if they got any more. And stop.
What, they said they don't get it for anything more than what, $30 or something?
Yeah, because you probably can get it on Amazon, but they're gonna try to bust you in your head on Amazon. So
When I first got it, I seen it on Amazon for like $90.
For real?
Yeah.
Nah,
There's a couple books I got that I seen on Amazon and things was like $70, $80. Not having.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, this book is some good stuff, and it's real good and thick, and I'm definitely looking forward to building on the next couple pages. It's gonna go into like different. It's gonna go into ancient Christianity, and then it goes into missionary Christianity, the different forms of Christianity, and it also goes into like the Quran, and it goes into a lot of different stuff before it starts really getting into the principles. It goes into all that stuff, and then it also has like the footnotes at the bottom. That's another thing they talk about to help with the understanding. But yeah, I ain't gonna keep y'all on here that much longer. I appreciate y'all for coming on and building Ancestral Perspective. Yeah, we're actually live too, Queen, on YouTube. Okay. Yeah, we're actually live right now. So only thing is, y'all can't see yourself. You can just hear your voice. I'm trying to figure that out, how I can make it to where y'all can be on this YouTube live with me, so you can visually see y'all.
So you saying more than likely all they can do is hear us, they ain't gonna be able to see us?
No, they can't see y'all. They can just hear y'all.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all go, and I appreciate y'all for coming out again. 19 through 51 pages, 19 through 51. Haven't read by next. What is it? April the 5th, I think. April the 5th. Let's see.
Yeah, that's what it is, I think.
Yeah, April the 5th. So, all right. And I'll holler at y'all.
All right. Peace. Pleasure meeting you, Queen.
Peace. Nice to meet you too.
All right.
Okay.